Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here, to be able to listen to so many inspiring talks and also have an opportunity to share what we've been working on at Forset. Alexandra mentioned that I work mainly on civic tech direction. So I will talk today about how we try to nudge governments to open up data using technology. How are we successful in that case, and what are some of the lessons that we've learned? So let's start. But before I start, have you ever requested freedom of information at least once? Raise your hands if you asked anything to any governmental bodies at least once. Okay, I see some hands. Lots of active citizens here. So have you requested freedom of information more than once? Raise your hands. Okay. And do you usually receive the data that you request for, without challenges? Raise your hand. We have one person. I want to know more on your experience, but usually what happens with us is there's a lot of challenges. And I've been asking this question to a lot of people, what are some of the challenges that you see when you request data? And even though all of us who raised hands for the first two questions, I'm sure you have your own unique stories of what's gone wrong. But mainly there are some of the common challenges that we found. One was, for instance, late responses, right? So in Georgia, you have up to 10 working days to receive the data set, but usually the responses are always late. Another funny thing is, when you ask for the data set, sometimes they wait for 10 working days, and then they tell you that your request needs to be redirected. So then they redirect you, and then you wait another 10 working days. So it's a lot of waiting involved in this process. And another assumption is, if you are, for instance, so if I'm sending out my freedom of information request under the name of Forset, like an organization, the chances are that I will receive data rather than me sending as a individual. So this was some of the challenges that we were seeing. And then we were requesting a lot of data because we work on data visualization. So we need a lot of governmental data to develop our data-driven stories. So just to sum up the issue that we have in Georgia is that freedom of information is our constitutional right. But when asked, it's often delayed, withheld, or not given at all. And what happens if you do not receive data in Georgia? What happens is you can appeal to a higher authority, which is always also denied, and then you can go to the court. And honestly, I really don't want to go to the court to ask for the data. And then if you do, if you are really, really, really passionate to get the data set that you wish for, and you go to the court, you have to wait around 30 months to receive a data. And then after 30 months, I'm sure that data is too old to use. So these are some of the challenges. And then we also, when we were thinking about the solution, we were also thinking, what are some of the good things that happened in Georgia? So some of the good things we identified was that, you can send out the letter digitally since 2013. You can sign digitally, and there is a person dedicated to your request. So this was some of the good sides that we saw. So there was a hope. And what we came up with was we created a citizen-centric freedom of information request platform, which looks like this, and it's called askgov.g. If you're a Georgian speaking person in the audience, I urge you to check it out now or a bit later. It has two main functionalities, and we try to make sure it's as easy as possible. The one thing it does is it helps you write a letter. So the letter is halfway written, so you have to just write the data that you're asking for. So it's easy, it takes less than 5 minutes. All the Freedom of Information Officer email addresses are there, so you just go, spend 2-3 minutes, and you send out the letter. Another good thing that this platform has is when you send out the letter, and then when you receive a letter, so here's like a screenshot actually. So when you send out the letter and then when you receive the data, everything is automatically online. So that means that all the data sets that our users receive is online. So you can just check out, so the data set is adding up. So whenever now, like you're interested to find out you're interested in a particular data set, first you need to check out, maybe it's already there. Also, it's funny to check out what are some of the refusals that public agencies send out. For instance, one time, and this is my favorite case, I think, one time they said they could not give us the data set because our letter was not complete, because it were missing out our father's name. So it was like, what? Okay, like I have so many questions, but okay. So like this is also a great case to monitor and then like at the end go to the court or do whatever. So it's like a data set, it collects data, and it's also easy to send out the data. So me as one of the like person who are working on this project, one of the most inspiring things that this tool has done so far is to see how people, like how community use this tool. And here's some of the case studies. So some time ago, there was like this talk of the property of patriarchate. In Georgia, there's also always a lot of discussions going on this topic. So one of the users asked for all the data sets that were indicating the property of patriarchate, and here are actually some of the screenshots. We received it in this kind of format, like scanned PDFs. Like when you see this scanned PDF, like you cannot really fully understand and digest what is happening. So what one of our community members did, he created a dashboard, and then you can easily go through and then analyze like how much property does patriarchate have. So for us, it's also like really nice to see that how people are using the data sets that are being collected. And when working on this project, there are some of the main takeaways I wanted also to share with you in case you are working or in case you would like to work on civic tech, because that's what worked well for us, so maybe that could also be helpful. The first takeaway I would like to share with you is that civic tech is always complicated, and if possible, never do it from the scratch. So what we did was we used British organization called My Society and their open software. So we knew that like there was like open source code. We knew that it was translated in more than 20 languages. We knew that it was working in more than 25 jurisdictions. So it's like, and then 1 million requests were sent. So it's like, what are the chances that like this project will fail? So we use this code, and I also suggest that if there's something already created, like don't do it from scratch, like use the resources that is available. Another thing which may sound a bit common sensey is not about technology when we are working on civic tech, but rather about people. So when we were developing this tool, I think we used like 10 or 20% of our resources to tool development itself, and then like the main resources went to like people recruitment, community mobilization, like community building activities. So that would be like my main takeaway. It doesn't have to be complicated technology, but rather very simple, so that people understand and like journalists are aware and like activists are using it. Another takeaway, which is like it worked for us, so it's not like it might not work for you, but it's like to be a critical friend to the government. So whenever something doesn't work the way we wish, it's like we firstly prefer to contact them and ask them to fix it, rather than very openly like write an article, etc. So we are critical, but we try to stay critical friends. So, and that has been working out from time to time. Another takeaway I would like to share when working on civic tech in general and for our project was done is better than perfect. So we launched our tool after 2 months of working. And it had a lot of bugs, and like it had a lot of grammatical errors. But we asked our community, we were very open about it. We told them that it's not working properly, it's a beta version. So if you find some bugs, please let us know. So it was also a bonding opportunity for us. So it was a win-win. We launched it very soon. And then we've been fixing bugs since then, like for the past 6 months. And it's a never-ending process. Like it will never be perfect. So we just, I advise you to also launch it as soon as possible. And the last main takeaway when working on civic tech is to build community around it. So it is as important as creating the tool itself. So what we did was, we organized a lot of hackathons, a lot of competitions. We organized a lot of meetings to mobilize this community because they are the ones who will be using the tool. So that would be my last tip and advice to you. And there's also ways how you can be part of this. If you are a person outside of Georgia, and you are also passionate about open data and transparency and freedom of information, you could also launch this initiative in your own country. Get in touch, I will explain the details. If you are Georgian, if you are Georgian, so you can also get back to me and then we can discuss how you can be like active community member. And as I know, there's also a datathon on the third day and you will be using also Ask.gov dataset. So that's also a good way to get to know the tool a bit more. And that was it. Thank you.
You have mentioned community building already, and I'm curious if you could share with us what are some specific activities that you can use to popularize the use of open data? Because as we saw, even in this very biased selection of people who are already interested in data, there are still a lot of people who have never done it, have never maybe had an interest for it for various reasons. So what are different ways to popularize this?
So we really try our best to create a community around it. And what we've done for a couple of months, and I think that has been working really well, is to organize a very informal meeting, like when you meet over the beer and you discuss the topic in an informal way and make sure you are friends with these people and then share the issue and then try to come up with a solution together. What we also did is, I mentioned earlier, is organized hackathons, competitions, datathons, different ways to engage people to start using the tool so that whenever they need it to their daily day-to-day work, they know how to use it and they can also share it to their colleagues. So these were some of the ways that we've been testing and has been working. So that would be my advice to you as well.